Hello. Monday, we do power rankings. I've just got off ELF Live like seconds ago. I feel like I do the same cadence every time. I finished ELF Live a few minutes ago, mere minutes. So go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. Of course, we're doing power rankings. Don't need to waste too much time, so let's just get straight into it. Number 17, Barcelona Dragons. We don't need to talk about it much. They just got blown out. It's the Dragons at this point. 16, the Enthroners. Started well against Vienna. Got beaten 46-0 in the end. They've been regressing. I think that Prague loss really affected them, and they've just not really been the same since. And they fall down one. Who raise up one is Milan, simply because they lost less and also got goose-egged, but they lost less. Both of them played Raiders and Vikings in this matchup, but they did poorly. They do move up one just because, like I said, they got beaten by less. That's really all it is. And number 14, the Prague Lions didn't play, so I'm still going to give them the edge. You know, I'm still riding high off that victory, I'm not going to lie. And they didn't play, so they're just going to stay at 14. At number 13, Helvetic Mercenaries. It was close with the Ravens, and that's why they're still up at 13, because with the Ravens, it was like, what, 10, 17-7 or something like that at halftime. Like, it was pretty close. It was not a done deal. They actually outperformed Munich in terms of total yardage. I know that's not, the best of players. They had more yards per play as well, which is surprising. They had a more effective passing game. It wasn't as efficient. Chad Jeffries is an extremely efficient passer. But with the Mercenaries, Clayton did a good job. They actually had some run game. Not really, but a little bit. It was a start. Spiller with 92 yards and a touchdown. And one at the end was really, really impressive. Just burned Incambi, who's an experienced corner. He is this close to getting 1,000 yards, guys. Seriously, unbelievable if he manages to do that. But they remain at 13. At 12, Hamburg. Now, if you watched this game with me on stream, you would have seen how frustrated I am with Hamburg. Fulford was not the choice. They're on a massive losing streak, the longest losing streak currently active in the ELF. And they suck. They really do. Like, Fulford had some moments, but at the end he just started heaving it. They were up at one point in the game, and it looked like they might be able to take control, but their defenses weren't able to stop anything. They ran with Neil, who played more as a receiver, and then apparently he's listed now as a running back, but he actually did alright. We then passed Scalini, 25 yards from an E running back. None of the other running backs featured. They allowed over 500 yards. Their run defense couldn't stop Weed at all. Their passing defense got shredded as well, but they just didn't do a good job at all. They really didn't. They're 2-9 now. Torrent Justice did fine, but they lack a lot of German depth. They lack some elite playmakers. I really like Ugapo. I really like Strater. I like Toby Naylor, but like, that's really all they've got. They're really in a difficult position to lose like that, and they had some chances to win, but they ultimately fell short. Frankfurt have fallen back down. Now, I know they beat Madrid, and this is what a lot of people saw in my power rankings that didn't watch the video. They saw that Madrid went really low and Frankfurt went above them. That's what we do in this power rankings. If you beat someone, you're above them. That's just how it is in that week, at least. Frankfurt fell back down to earth. They really did. Like, they were not good. I mean, even McKay came in and he was fine. Of course, he came out that he broke his leg during the game. Of course, he got taken off, and Matt came in, who did a very admirable job. But when Matt came in, a running game never got started. Like, they had Sandra got 11 carries for 19 yards, Fishback got 13 yards, Matt himself got 11. Sandra did get a scoring touchdown on the ground, which was fine, but that didn't help. It really didn't help. Like, they didn't produce on offense around Mac. Simple as that. The defense couldn't stop Zozo. They couldn't stop Norwood at all. They couldn't stop Matt Cole. They couldn't stop Ponte Moreno. Like, I know he only had 3 yards, but he was dominant in that game. And in the red zone, it's been so important over the last few games for them. But Frankfurt, really disappointing year. I think we're going to have quite a lot of changes within that franchise within this off-season. It's going to be really hard for them to stay competitive. A team that you also has fallen is Berlin. They lost against the Right Fire. Is a pretty fucking dominant loss too. They put a goose egg up on offense through the first half. They didn't really do anything at all. Like, Sullivan didn't have a great game. They only had, like I said, one score in the first half, and that was with Jackson on a return touchdown. They come out in the second half, immediately throw a pick, like it's second half Berlin. So when they got dominated that much in the first half, you kind of know they're not going to do great in the second. Like, that's just how it was. And they're not a good team at the moment. They've had moments, and they could have won some of the games here and there against Paris, against Ryan, against the other guys, against Wrocław the first time round, but they just haven't done it. In an alternative world, they're a playoff contender, but in this world, they're not. And I think they need some help. They're stuck in purgatory like Berlin tend to be. But one team that's kind of leapfrogged them, even though they lost to them last week, is Wrocław. Because that run game, like it was so dominant. So dominant. Put 54 points, and it was mostly with the run game. Norwood is a runner. You know, he's a playmaker in the backfield. He's a receiver naturally, so it wasn't a surprise to see him catch out of the Philly special type plays. And he has led this team to a couple of really exciting wins. They're a very exciting team. The Panthers' offense is weird, right? They had such a dynamic, explosive, amazing offense in the first couple games of the year. They went so stagnant, so horrible for like half of the year. And then in that final third, they're like amazing. Again, I don't really know why. People in the comments of the stream said about the East not being as bad as we think, because they had two teams, the same record, one in the West, one in the East, and the East dominated, which I think is a big win for them. They could finish even, potentially, we'll see. But I was impressed with their performance, and ultimately they walked away with a win. And I really think Wrocław, I also mentioned this on stream, like they have such an amazing alumni. Keanu, they have Tony Tate, they had Turpin, they have Zozo, who's still there but is part of that franchise. If they just fix the quarterback inconsistency, maybe Norwood's the guy, I'm not sure, he isn't a natural quarterback, they really could run with this. I know some people hypothesized Weed there, and I think that could be an interesting fit. Speaking of which, number 8 is the Cologne Centurions. They jump up 3 spots after this big win. It is against a bad team, and I know I normally don't reward wins against bad teams. I've said this a lot. However, that win showed a lot. It showed that amazing, when it's on, that offense of just dinking, dunking, picking the spots, ripping apart holes in the coverages, just finding positions, running the rock, using weeds on his legs. When they throw deep, he throws picks. Like, he is not a deep throwing quarterback. He never really has been. Like, even if you look back at some of his GFL tape, he's not a guy that really runs the ball that much. Well, sorry, throws deep that much. He runs the ball a hell of a lot. And it seems like they had such a perfect game plan. And defensively, they did a fine job. Like, they didn't really create any turnovers. But they still did enough to keep themselves with that gap. They had I don't know if you would call it a comeback. They weren't really down by that much. But they did a superb job in getting this team back up to 500 rather. Like, they really could do, and that's not what I thought would happen when we started the season. They've been impressive. I hope they keep what they have this year. We'll see if they go in a different direction with different stuff. Now on stream I said you needed 2 wins to maybe get into playoffs. Do you get those 2 wins with Weed? When there was a bit of discussion about that. What do you need to go over that hill? Because they got blown out against Paris both times, and that's really who they got to compete with. So how do Colognes take a step up? And that's something that I would like to maybe look at during the off-season potentially, but very interesting situation going on over there in Cologne. And number 7, Munich Ravens. A really easy win. Second half, if you want to count that. But like, they were not in gear. I said this in the LF Live. Like, they took a really long time to get out of second gear, or even first gear. Like, they were not really that convincing. And for a team that's meant to be in the playoffs, having a close for a while game against the Mercenaries, I know the Vienna Vikings did that too, and I didn't have them top for that reason as well. You would expect them to be a lot more comfortable in this game, especially when they got the playoffs around the corner. They were resting a couple guys. That's quite obvious. They had like load management on a few of them to prepare for this Raiders game. I think the Raiders did the same thing, and we'll get to them in a minute. But at number 6, we got Madrid Bravos. They do go up above Munich, which I think some people will be surprised at. I know I got a lot of hate for having them so low, but when they lose to Frankfurt, they deserved it. They had a all-time classic with Paris, and it's hard to really talk about this game without talking about the rain, and we'll get to Paris in a minute, but Madrid definitely struggled in the rain a lot more. The handoffs were getting fumbled. The snaps weren't great sometimes because of the wet. Like, it was torrential rain. You couldn't really tell from the distance, but as soon as they did a zoom in, you're like, oh, damn. Like, Dwayne Obi did fine when he was in, but the whole offense kind of really struggled to get back into the groove. They need to pop a couple points. Alessandro Fernandez was an absolute shit wrecker on the outside. So glad he's back. He's such a dominant defensive end. Like, he's so good at run. He's so good at pass. He really affected Edwards a lot in this game, and that's really the value they bring out of him. It's a shame they couldn't have him all year, man. If they had him all year, I think they make playoffs. They might not make playoffs this time around, and it's these close games that they could have. They gave up that last drive to Edwards on that run, and I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin. Of course, they didn't convert with that field goal. Like, that first drive field goal, in retrospective, lost them that game, which is insane. In a different world, they win that game 15-12, like, which is insane. So close, yeah, so far, but honestly, everyone in Madrid can be proud of their performance this year. They've done such a spectacular job, and a lot of people thought they were going to finish 0-12, including myself, when they first saw the alignments of divisions, but they did a really good job. Still up in the top 5, but down 1 is the Raiders Tyrrell. Rested players. Beat Milan comfortably. Sweeten looked great and Cozy looked great. It was a comfortable win for the Raiders against Manuel Seaman in Tyrrell, in Innsbruck. It was just comfortable. It was a whiteout game, which is cool. Jerseys very, very, very similar. Well, they're basically identical to the Raiders whiteout jerseys in the NFL. So that's pretty nice. Nice little tie-in. It was just comfortable. Like, it wasn't that exciting of a game. They just did what they did in Cozy. Looked nice. Sweeten is just such an explosive athlete, and I really hope we get to see him. I think if the Raiders bring back those two next season, I'll be very happy. Especially when Cozy gets more comfortable in Europe and stuff like that. I think that could be really dangerous for defenses to deal with. And they finished 30-0. Like, it was, again, comfortable. And I'm really excited to see the Raiders Tyrrell and the Munich Ravens. Like, that game final week is like so exciting, right? I'm so gassed. Let me know who you think's gonna win that in the comments or message me. And number 4, going up 1, is the Stuttgart Surge. I know they beat the Dragons, but I think they're a better team than the Raiders. Hear me out. I know they lost, but my logic dictates if you beat a team, you have to be above them at least for that week, and then say nothing about second week. Can the Raiders do it again? I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe in the playoffs, because the Surge are a more dominant team than the Raiders, I think, in my opinion. And we'll see when it comes to the comment section how that one's responded with. But Raheem Wilson with another 2 picks, like, he's been such a great addition to this team. Like, he really has, like, that defense just creates turnovers. I know it's on Dragons, you've got to take it with an asterisk, but an easy, comfortable win. They've got one more game, I believe, until they're done, and they should be quite comfortably that number 2 seed because of points scored over Rhine. So they'll get a bye week, and I think that'll do them a lot. Then again, though, that could do them a lot bad because they've been resting players. Riley only played like 1 quarter, and we've seen Riley's probably got like the least snaps of like any starting quarterback that's played more than like half the year. Honestly, it's kind of insane how little he's played. He's been great when he's on there. But in my opinion, that's taken him out of Offensive Player of the Year nomination. I think I had him as my mid-season Offensive Player of the Year. I probably don't have him there anymore, just because he's not played a ton of action. And when he's been on, he's been great, but just hasn't played that much, which I think is an interesting point of discussion. At number 3, and my Offensive Player of the Year, is Zach Edwards. Rain, again. That rain was incredible. They did not have a ton going on offensively for the first 3 quarters, even honestly in that 4th quarter. But when it mattered most, he got it done. He ran out that QB draw. Not sure if it was designed a QB draw, but it was in the end. He ran up, got physical with him, fell into the end zone for that one, got hyped, comes out. They ended up redeeming themselves with that missed kick, redeemed with the field goal in overtime. Edwards is I've been critical, hasn't been like the most clutch in some of these situations. This game, he was so good. in the clutch situations. When it mattered most, he got it done, and that's really all you can really talk about in this game because of the water. Like, for a little bit of good, obviously, they had the ejection of their center, which really slowed them down for a little bit. And Polly Sacramento is one of the most versatile, probably is the most versatile offensive lineman in the league. He's incredible. He isn't a natural center. Although he can do it and did actually do it quite well, he isn't a natural center. So when Gasparo gets ejected, that really did throw a spanner in the works of their offense. And that was pretty noticeable come the end of the game. But they got it done. And they remained at number 3. At number 2, I think you can kind of tell where I'm going to go with this. I'm gonna keep Vienna Vikings at number 2 because they beat up the Enthroners. They are 12-0. They finished their season. They're done. Their year is over in terms of regular season football. But now they get 2 weeks off. And me and Nick talked about this near Death Live, and I'm not sure if that's going to benefit them a ton. 2 weeks is a long time. It's good to get healthy, but you never know. A bit of rust could set in after 2 weeks. A dominant game, a little bit early. He threw an interception. Ben Holmes threw an interception again, and then Torrey had a fumble. So it wasn't utterly dominant for the first little bit of the game. The Enthroners, and they've not been great this last couple of games. But I think Ben Holmes showed to be good. He had a really good game. Kerry, another really good game for him. No, Torrey, Reese Horn was spectacular again. He's looking to be like maybe second in the league, maybe third for league, depending on how Markel finishes for Frankfurt, because he's right up there and he's about 34 yards to be the league leader again. So that's pretty crazy. But they're going to stay at number 2, and at number 1 we have the Ryan Fire. Finished their season, Glenn Appreciation Day, 30 touchdowns, 31 total in the season, but 30 rushing. The best running back season we've ever seen. I know I love Madre. 9 games is not enough to call yourself the GOAT. I know he doesn't, but you know what I mean. Some people do. He has got 30 touchdowns this year on the ground. And I don't think that's a record that's ever going to be touched. Like, that is unbelievable. He was great in this game as well. Of course, Jadron's in peak form. Those jerseys look amazing. McKnight, I thought, would have a bit of a bigger game, but was important when they used him. They kind of used some of their other weapons and went with Glenn. I think they kind of coasted. Their defense is just so underappreciated. From Zimon, you got Marius Kenzie, you got Marshawn Franklin was spectacular and got a couple picks in the day. You've got Mari Williams, you've got like so many, Max Parkinson, Jason Chikiri, and Aaron Donkor, and Venki. Like, you've just got so many weapons on defense, and I think that's still my number 1 team. I think they still take out Vienna. I think they still take out Paris again. They've already beaten them twice. I think they take out Surge. I think they take out Tyrrell and Madrid. They've already beaten once, but I think they beat them quite dominantly in the second outing. That's gonna do it. I think this one was a good one. Honestly, this was a really fun week, and this was a shorter power rankings, and I kind of went on more about others than maybe I did on others. Didn't mention it as much, but this was a week with a couple really close games and some other ones that weren't as exciting. But next week is so good. We'll obviously get to that with the how-tos. So I'm going to put that out on Wednesday, I think, maybe even Thursday, because I really want to do the Spitter video. And tonight I got a few meetings and stuff I got to attend to, but I'm going to try and get the Spitter video done tomorrow. If you're watching this, it is currently 12:30, so hopefully rendering and stuff won't take much of an issue. But I'm going to try and get Spiller done on Tuesday, maybe upload on Wednesday. And then I can start doing some stuff like players that might get all-star nods, and just some fun stuff, because I do want to do that. I've got a few evaluations I want to do as well, but I do want to take a bit of a Brett Coleman-esque turn again. I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately, and I want to do like players you need to talk about for their first vote. I'm going to do a graphic of that today after this video, and it should be good. I had a good time making this. I hope you had a good time watching it. Shorter one. I'm gonna I've dragged out the ending a little bit, but I hope you guys did have a fun time. This was a really fun week, and I love fucking ELF football, man. The season's very nearly over, but we are heading mighty close into that playoff season, and let me know who you think's gonna be in the playoffs. Watch ELF live as well, and stay tuned for the Spitter video. But I guess we'll see. I hope you had a good time. I'll see you there. I'm rambling too much. You know why I do this. I'll see you guys later. Thank you, and goodbye.